Good news, model railway fans, there is a new model railway control system available to British railway modellers. We're going to take a look at it in just a second, but before we do, let's talk about DCC and DC, because I know what's going to happen. Half of you are going to be watching this thinking, if it's a DCC control system, I'm not interested. The other half are probably thinking, if it's a DC control system, I'm out of here as well. You can't really win. Well, maybe you can, because the A&E model LD101, now distributed in the UK via DMG Electech, covers DCC and DC, and we're going to take a look at it right now in this video. Okay, well let's dive into the box and see what we get. So, LD101 DCC DC control system, dual mode, which means obviously we can operate DCC or DC at the push of a button. Let's open up and see what we get inside. So we've got the command station, which is the base control unit. Handily, we've got these little lugs either side, which you can use to screw to the underside of your layout and keep it completely hidden and out of the way. We've got a simple track output to the end there, our power supply input, the output for our throttle or input goes both ways, USB connectivity and simple push power button there. And you can see we've got two LEDs. These indicate whether we're on DC power or DCC power heading to the track. Pretty straightforward, pretty simple. Pretty compact as well, doesn't take up a lot of room underneath the layout, which will be great for those smaller layouts where you haven't got an awful lot of space to locate a small command station. Next we have our controller. This is very nice, it's compact, it fits in the hand well. We've got a little rotary knob there which doesn't have a limit. This is limited electronically, so whether you're on DC or DCC you can continue to scroll all the way through your DCC numbers to get to your required address or whatever it is you're looking for. It also is a button. We've got off and on switches, which are our directional switches for DC power, but also DCC as well. And we've got various function buttons such as our CV commands. We've got enter for our functions, a button here to switch between DC or DCC modes, and our power button, all labelled quite straightforward. But if there's any doubt, you can always consult the instructions, as we shall be doing in a minute. And if we lift the lid, we can get even deeper down into the box and take out our power cables. Now we've got a power source to hand, so I'm just going to get connecting everything up. It is completely foolproof. There's no way you can connect these up the wrong way. So we've got our power supply here, all supplied in these neat little bundles. So power supply input, which goes to our transformer. We'll plug that into the mains. Our transformer output goes into the power. And then we've got this little RJ11 fly lead, which connects to the command station and the throttle. Now this is approximately, I'd say, 1 metre, just over a metre in length. So you can walk around a smaller layout. You don't need to go unplugging it and putting extensions into your layout straight away, unless you've got a very large layout, in which case you might need to get a longer lead. But for the purposes of this demonstration, it's perfectly adequate, and we'll just plug that into the throttle and then again into our little control unit. And then it's just a case of checking that we've actually got power connected to our mains. We have, it's all set, it's all good. So we just need to hit the power button and the unit fires up into life. So you can see by default we're on DC mode, as indicated by the button. If we want to switch to DCC mode, it's literally the simple push of a button here. And it's obvious, it goes blue, so DC control is red, DCC, everything goes blue. So you can see with the simple glance, if you're on DCC or DC, there's no questioning that. You could be 3-4 meters away from your layout and you could see if you're on the right mode. So under DC mode, If we rotate the throttle, we can see that the numbers increase. The manufacturer recommends that it's about from say 30 onwards, so 30, the maximum you can go to is I believe 100. Let's just test that out. There we are, 100% being full power. If we return that down, it's roughly around about 30 that you will get enough power on the average DC model to then commence rolling down the track. There is a bit of resistance with every motor. It's just like if you were with any other DC control system. You need to turn the knob so far before power actually is sufficient in the motor for traction to occur. So 30 onwards, and then if we want to change the direction, we can rotate it all the way down to 0, which is always recommended regardless of the DC control system that you use. And then we can just change direction here with a push of a button. So green to go one way, amber to go the other way. So again, you can see if you're operating in the dark, for instance, your layout, you can see if you've hit the right button because your LED status will change. We can now rotate the button back up to 100 if we want. You get the idea. So that is DC control covered. Well, here's a quick demonstration of the unit in action. I have a test plank which is wired up to the LD101. You'll note that we're in DCC mode. As demonstrated earlier, by pushing this button, we can switch between DC or DCC. In DCC mode, when we fire up the unit, we have the default address of 3 displayed. Rotating the knob can select a different address if required. Once the desired address is selected, simply push the Enter button. The default speed, 0 to 100, is displayed. We can also change the direction using the off and on buttons. Rotating the knob will accelerate the unit away. Now, the more astute among you might notice that the acceleration of this is fairly rapid. Simply 5 speed steps and we're already cruising at quite a pace. That's because we're in 28 speed step mode. Pushing down the button once more allows us to enter into 128 speed step mode. This offers finer control, which is far better and more suited for those shunting manoeuvres on a small layout. Access to functions is gained by pushing the Enter button. Rotating the knob to select the desired function and hitting the on or off button will change the state of this function. I know that F0 and F1 are the directional lights, for instance, and pressing Enter once more leaves the menu. Now let's say, for instance, that one of your friends comes round and has a DC locomotive, but he wants to run it on your layout. Well, that's not a problem. Simply remove the DCC locomotive from the track, enter into DC mode, place the locomotive on the track, in this case Hornby's Little Terrier, and accelerate away. Again, directional change is achieved by pressing the off or on button. When you're done, simply hit the power button and the unit will power off. Contrary to what you might expect from a DCC control system at a competitive price point, the LD101 has advanced functionalities too, including accessory decoder control, setting up, deleting and creating consists, recalling functions, and CV programming. Advice on all of these functionalities are included in the user manual provided with each unit. Inside we find useful photographs, flowcharts and step-by-step information. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this overview of the A&E model LD101, a DC and DCC control system at an unbeatable price and now distributed in the UK thanks to DMG Electech. For further details including current pricing and availability, take a look at the DMG Electech website.